This is a cardboard box. Wait, what? Hey, Shop Maniacs, you're listening to another episode of Shop Talk Show, podcast all about front-end web design, development, and AI, baby. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. Where's
money,
those AI sponsors? They seem to be throwing money around. I'll take an AI sponsor as long as it's a fun one.
Like
Microsoft. Dave,
I don't think they sponsor podcasts. They let me do this.
I've never heard one ever, so probably not.
Yeah.
You could hire me to be the person at Microsoft who spends 0.00001% of the Microsoft budget on podcasts, and then I would slather podcasts in it. They do marketing, though, clearly.
They do marketing. It's usually like Times Square level.
Totally.
Initiatives or football Super Bowls, So.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
I did
the
just
big
notice.
game.
And then there's Build and stuff, and that has a lot of stuff. But I don't know how I came across this. Just, I don't know, like most people spend half their free time on YouTube or whatever. There's a Microsoft channel, or who knows how many channels Microsoft has, a lot. But there's a Visual Studio Code link just showing off how they have agents now in Copilot in VS Code, which is like maybe a little slow, but I don't know, not slow behaving, but it was just like, oh yeah, but obviously, everybody's doing that.
Was that like Burke Holland and people like that? Like
no, it wasn't Burke. It was a lady.
Okay.
What is her name? I hate being not knowing exactly. Ooh, they don't credit her. That sucks. She has brown hair.
You know what's weird? I know Burke, like, come across him through some chats here in town, but in the old water cooler.
I know Burke.
220,000 person water cooler. But one of his articles got me out of a bind in Nuxt. It was like I was trying to figure out this Nuxt thing, like how to do something. I don't even remember, but his name was there doing it, and now I remember his name forever. Like, that's a weird little psychology, right? Like, somebody gets you out of a bind. You're like their fan, like, and there's probably plenty of people I forget, but it's weird how, I don't know.
Solve my problem and I'll remember you forever.
The chances of me remembering you goes up significantly. That's makes me sound like I don't remember people on purpose. That makes me sound bad, but what I mean is, I think it's weird that psychology. I do. Out of all the names I know, his is one. So
for sure. And he gets credited like crazy on these videos. I don't know. Maybe she's. I don't know what the deal is. This is a 5-minute video. It's not a big deal. But there is a Visual Studio Code channel pushing 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which makes sense to me because it's like I want to hear from the horse's mouth what you're doing in the world's most popular code editor. It is endlessly fascinating to me how many people fork this thing and make $1 billion or more. So it's cool. It just seems like it's going to be. It's going to be pretty cemented in this is the editor that we all use for a long time. We'll see. It's poised to me for a weird level of disruption. I have no idea what Microsoft would do, but they would freak out the world of code editors if something happened, if some crucial part of it became open source or they closed down an API or something, which I wouldn't even blame them for because I'm just apparently a capitalist bastard. But I don't think it probably feels very good to watch people make billions of dollars on your back. But, that's just me.
Yeah, I think I don't
Maybe they're
know.
Cool about it.
I think I'm not in any way connected to that team or anything, but I do think you have to worry about, like, goodwill erasure. You're like,
hugely, yeah.
You released
open source is open source, so Linux people make a lot of money on that bad boy too, and they're plenty happy just being an open source project.
Yeah, like if Linux was all of a sudden like, hey, we're not open source anymore. We got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, it'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. So I don't know what I'm talking about. It just seems weird,
it is. It is. It's interesting
because they play the exact same game. Like, I do use Cursor. I think they do a pretty good job. Although there's other ones I like the UI of more. That's why it's so fun for me to like watch how this is evolving and stuff. Just little stuff like, oh, they put a little polish on the UI. It makes me want to use a different one just for the polish they put on top of VS Code sometimes. But then you're like, oh, but I kind of want to use the canonical one because it feels safer somehow. Anyway, all these feelings swirling around. Anyway, where I was going with this, just to rein it back in. They announced, only a couple weeks ago, background coding agents in Copilot, I guess, And I want to talk about this to some, like, we don't have to be the AI show all the time, but just for a little bit in this show, because I want to, like, tap into how people are, like, feeling about it and how this stuff changes and what reality is around this stuff, because the extremes are easy to find online. They're like, no, screw this stuff forever. I will never do it. I absolutely abhor anything related to it. Is easy to find in my circles. And the maximalist, like, it's all I think about. It's all I do. I'm just the puppet master of AI now, and it's the best thing that's ever happened. And shower me with money and glory or whatever. That's easy to find as well for me. But I think there's probably most people are in the middle of like trying to extract a little value out of it, try to not get in trouble with it, how to feel good about it.
I think too there's a whole echelon of people who are forced to use it. Like they have to use it for their job. So it's like, like they're being asked to like make sure you guys are,
Isn't it your old Austin buddy Greg Story has a book about it now? He's been on on that prowl lately of like, look at this, look at these blog posts by CEOs mandating the use or doing, and there's like little stepping stones on the way that say like, well, you can't hire anybody until you prove to your next level higher up that you're extracting as much value as you can out of AI, and then we'll let you hire somebody. But for now, let no more headcount until you are provably using AI so much. We just got one from Tim Cook, I think, so he was almost the last in line.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's kind of like a lot of mandates out there, or just, I don't know, tech has been so weird with layoffs or whatever, like insecurities and stuff like that. So anyway, I just want to acknowledge that too. Like, I think everyone has a story, and you don't always know the full story, if that makes sense. So
I like that. Yes.
Maybe they depend on healthcare and like being like double deucing to AI is not the solution for them right now. But I think there's huge concerns. Anyway,
there is indeed. So, let me tell you one story that's just local, just because I feel like it's probably relatable to what people are doing with AI. And I won't try to comment on the larger scope of things. This is more just like a user using this stuff to try to feel good about what they're doing, right? So, but I'll attach it to websites. There's just a minor feature in the new editor where you can right-click a file in CodePen and just download it. That just seems like an obvious thing you should be able to do, and it works just fine. So you right-click a file called like script.js, and it just says download file, and it just downloads to your desktop or wherever your default download location is in your browser, and it works fine. You know how that works in JavaScript is that either it's an anchor link already. In our case, all our menu items are buttons, so ours has a click handler attached to it, and what it does is it on the fly does document.create element. It makes an A element. It makes the href of that A element the direct URL to the file. Sometimes
on disk. Okay, yeah.
I'll say that it wasn't doing that right away. Just as a quick little workaround, one thing it did was it would grab the contents of the file, which we happen to have in like memory because we're CodePen and we have that. So we make that a blob and we put that in the href, and then we put the download attribute on the A tag, and then you don't even have to put it in the DOM. You can just call a .click on it, and it will just download the file. Yeah, that's a trick as old as time. Right. But here's a weird one is that we don't have the contents of like your JPEGs in memory, Those have to be pulled from disk. And if we're going to link to that from disk, well, we have that feature too. Of course, these files are like hosted, obviously. So we'll make an anchor tag, and we'll make the href the location to it on disk, and we'll put the download attribute on it, and we'll like fake click it in JavaScript. Guess what? It doesn't work. The download attribute does not work for cross-origin files. So if your image is at the same domain, it'll work fine, the download attribute. But that download attribute is ignored for cross-domain files, meaning what the browser is going to do when you fake click that anchor attribute, it's just going to navigate to the image. It'll still show you it in the browser, but it won't just immediately download it to your disk, probably a security thing. Yep. And so that's the situation that we're in. Okay, how do you fix this? So the AI is not involved in this story at all yet. I'm Googling around and I'm trying to research this and what's going on. And I find some good articles about it. And they talk about the security concern or whatever and how you just can't do this, and that everybody talks about the download attribute, but they ignore this important caveat that it doesn't work cross-domain. And they say in these blog posts, well, there is actually a way around it. You teach your server to serve the file with a special header. And that header is called content disposition. And then you can say the file name in there too. The file name matches the file on disk or whatever. And then it will download to your computer. So if you want to download a JPEG and force your server to just kick it to the computer, you can do it, but you just have to serve this special header. Okay, now I have the information in my head of what to do. Do I have the developer ability to do this? Freaking absolutely. It's just a server. We have our own server. Everything's written in Go at CodePen. I just go in there, and what I'm going to do is, like, when there is a query parameter that just says download equals true, if download equals true is in the URL, I'm going to serve it with the content disposition header, and it's going to download that file. Cool. Like, I know in my head what to do, but this is where AI comes in, and this is why it's like, okay, I'm just attaching AI to this concept, because it's like, okay, VS Code's got these background coding agents. AI used to be just like, help me with autocomplete, like I think plenty of us like got used to that getting pretty good with suggestions and stuff. But you still got to like navigate to where you're going and figure out a plan yourself and stuff. That was AI for what, like years? And this agent thing, which I was a little, I don't know if I was skeptical of at first or what, has now, it just like took over. So now it's more common in AI in my usage, but I feel like most people's usage is that you have a little bit, you like trust the chat bot a little bit more. So maybe you're nearby in the code base of some relevant code, or maybe you're not even at all. Maybe you don't have any files open in your code editor. And you just open that sidebar, which that's what I'm calling an agent, I guess. Okay. And then you say like, okay, I'll always have a piece of code that I've highlighted, and I say, see this code here where I've added download equals true to the URL. Find the place in the server where we're serving that file, and I want you to check for that query parameter. And if that query parameter is there, I want you to serve the content disposition header like this. And I don't even elaborate too much, because I just don't need to. And then I just hit return and I wait a little bit. That's why I like cursors, because Cursor's really good at this. And it did what I thought was a very good job. It found the exact part in the server, and it checked the query parameter, it added content, all this stuff that I can do as a developer, and I'm going to do no matter what. But it just helped. It just shoot it around and do this. And I do this pretty regularly now. I know what to do, and I know what good code is, and I know how to test that code, But it just did a pretty decent job of doing all this stuff, and then I test it out and it works fine. Maybe there's a little bit of back and forth with, I do it like this instead or whatever, but it gets the feature done. All I'm saying is that, so that's an agent, but it's kind of, I don't know if that you consider that a background agent, because that's like, sure, you could go read Reddit or some crap while it's doing that, but it's all happening pretty fast. I think the background ones are more like give it bigger, harder tasks, and then because I've heard people talk about it takes 40 minutes or something. Like, I've never done an agent task that took 40 minutes in my life. Yeah, I do ones that take 30 seconds at most.
Does it do the thing where I don't use Cursor? I know, shame on me, but no, I don't. Well, it's cool and everyone's cool, but does it do the thing where it does thinking, and then it proposes a fix and says, gives you the human in the loop thing where you say, okay, yeah, do that. It's kind of like
sometimes,
yeah. And sometimes it'll just
but
eat
not
it.
very often. It's more like it just rolls with it, you know?
Yeah.
I know that there's the new one from Amazon is huge on getting a plan together first.
Yeah.
And then you okay the plan and you go. And I think that's pretty neat and a good idea. But yeah. Sometimes it kind of depends, I guess. I think they all probably behave a little differently. I've also used Jules from Google that does these kind of things. That one's weird because it's not in your code editor. It's just a website, and you hook up a repo, and it just does all this stuff with no code editor. I mean, you're
interesting.
And I think that's kind of weird. That's almost definitely a background agent. Cursor has those now too. You know, we know there's Claude Code. That's the CLI tool that's doing this kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm just more and more comfortable with having it go find the files that are relevant and proposing changes to the files. I think the Cursor UI does a good job of showing you what it can do and okaying it or not. And then, you know, I'm also noticing that more and more it's like, well, let me compile the code for you too. Let me check the syntax. Let me run the tests. Let me do all this to make sure that what I did was right. And that I find is pretty nice too. And I found in this case that the tests that it wrote were maybe a little too comprehensive, which is weird to say, but like I was like, I'm going to dial this up. So I clean it up and I make the PR, right? And I just feel like that's a relatable moment, is that like, it's not, I don't even think it's vibe coding. I think the definition of vibe coding is when you don't really care about the code. You're not even really looking at the code. You're more like looking at the output, seeing if it's doing what you want it to do, and you almost don't care about the code. This is not that. I care very much about the code. I'm fine-tuning the code. I'm just getting it together a little more quickly than I would have before. And it was the perfect kind of task that's a little rote, that has like a really clear definition of what it's going to do when it's done. So I get it done and put up the PR, and it's mostly fine. But here's another moment is that now we have a fork in how download this file works. Sometimes it makes the blob, and you click the blob and it downloads it. And the other path is that it gets the file on disk and does the content disposition thing.
Does all that.
This thing listened to exactly what I asked it to do. And I said, if this is a media type of a file, which we know because we have elaborate knowledge of your file system and all that stuff. So it did exactly what my brain thought.
MIME types.
It does, because a lot of code in there. I thought it was very successful, but a human being, Steven, this morning saw my PR. This was just happened. He's like, why don't we just do the content disposition thing all the time? Because, you know, the memory usage of JavaScript to like grab this huge, potentially like a megabyte of information and make it a blob and like fake click a blob to download it and stuff. It's like, just let the server do it. We already have this code path that's like, let the server do it. And that took a smart human being to look at this and be like, no, your approach actually wasn't quite right. Like, I know that we had this problem and you fixed the exact problem, but at no point did this computer ever even consider to not do what I asked it to do, but do something even smarter. I don't know that it ever will. You know, like it's designed, the system is designed to like listen to what you're asking it to do and do that thing, not to ignore what you have to say and find a smarter solution. I mean, maybe there's prompts you can do that says like, if I'm wrong, then do it another way or something. But I don't know that the system is really designed for that. So there was humans involved in this whole thing. Agents were useful here. It was faster. It was good. It like did good work. It maybe did better work than I would have do just because of how good of tests that it wrote. But at the same time, did it land on the absolute perfect solution for us? No, it didn't. It took human beings. It took a collaboration of human beings to get it down to that perfect moment. And I just don't think that's vibe coding. I think people are just saying the word vibe coding too much. That's not what it is.
Yeah, you're augmenting. Would that be the right term? Augmenting.
Sure,
yeah. It is interesting. It does seem like these AI are optimized for like append only tasks. And yeah, like, you know, to be why do I do this? To be fair to the AI, I don't have to be fair to a fucking robot. Anyway, to be fair, these things run on context. Context is expensive. Like, it takes a lot of context to imagine the app and be like, oh, aren't we doing this 2 different ways now? You know, like to remember that. That's something weirdly humans are good at. I feel like we have these connections and pathways in our brain. And, you know, we can be like, oh, yeah, we are like doing this 2 different ways now. Couldn't it just be one? You know, so I do wonder if that's maybe where the shape of work goes. Not saying like, oh, we're only babysitters or whatever, but I do wonder if that's sort of, you know, I think it's going to be. We at Paravel during the Luro days, we always said like editor, right? Like people are going to be able to rapidly generate stuff, designs, code, pages, websites. And then how do you tell if it's good? You need kind of an editor in the loop is what I'd say. Like somebody who goes, yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah, that's a bad choice. And that's somebody with style, taste, understands the problem space. Like that's huge. And I think valuable, you know, especially if we're all generating billions of web pages and graphics and JPEGs. It takes somebody to like go through and be like, hey, this is not great.
Yeah, I think you had a good point there. Like somebody who's a taste master, for example, like you had at Paravel. And then there's, you know, the senior developer who's looking at this code and being like, is it using the utilities that we already have for this thing? They almost have to be on guard against the append-only AI that's like, oh, I needed a little utility, so I abstracted one, and here it is, that does something with strings or something. And you're like, yeah, that's clever. You did a good job with that utility. Little did you know, we already have that utility.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
don't need that. You know?
Yeah, we're getting some AI PRs and like some of the open source projects I'm on, and it's wild because it's like, you know, I changed 40 files and deleted some like critical exports. Say yes, you know, and I'm like, what? What was the value? Why'd we do this? You know, like what were we? You know, like so you have to say no. You know, but yeah, I think you know, I think that sort of editor in the mix is going to be critical.
And it's probably like these senior devs that resent doing it, sadly.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I you know, and I can understand that. Like, I didn't get into this to like babysit computers, if I'm honest with you. You know, like that was, like, you know, it's like, how long does this take?
Right.
20, 40 minutes? And you're like, so, you know, I'm like going to go watch YouTube. If that's going on, right? Like that's not good for me. That's ADHD.
And imagine being this senior dev,
radioactive.
A junior dev sets Claude Code up, does a 45-minute thing, and goes, looks good to me, and sets the PR up, and they did nothing, and now you have to do 4 hours of detailed analysis on their AI commit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an equal distribution of work. You know
that. We messed up the scales of justice there,
right? And somebody in power is just gonna be like, no, like that's gonna sort itself out somehow.
Well, I hate doing like the AI was wrong, it hallucinated. Chris, can you believe that? Because that's like what it does. I think Eden had a good post on that. I hate doing that, but we did have like a PR bot in a you know, like a bot do a PR, and it was like, hey, you could have done this, you know? And I was like, okay, actually that's like pretty reasonable, you know? Like I just was like, oh, I didn't know that method existed in the API. So like, cool, awesome. I'm going to like try out these changes. Like I'm not going to hot merge it because I know better, right? But like, I'm going to try out these changes because it looks good and looks like an improvement. Because I'm sniffing like a private API, and you shouldn't be doing that. But whatever, in style dictionary. But don't do that. But anyway, lo and behold, that method doesn't exist. It didn't exist. It made up the solution to my problem. You know, like it just made up a method. And so like that stinks. You know, and I did lose probably 30 minutes like pulling down that code, trying it. What's up? Then going to the docs. Is it really not exist? And like reading through and, you know. And so getting into source code, and it's like, yeah, this doesn't exist at all. So, there is like, potential hiccups, I guess, with these flows, just like, hey, do it and see how it goes. So I don't know. I
agree.
Tried to use an agent to tag all my Obsidian posts, because Obsidian works better if everything's tagged. We were just talking about Obsidian, and it builds that cool graph with all the circles kind of connected, and so like now they're connected by tags. I started doing it to like, just with my blog posts, like go through my blog posts, recommend like up to 3 tags, 1 to 3 tags, and then like tag it, and came up with a beautiful plan. It's like, hey, I see these posts. I think they're in here. I could review that. That's great. I did it. I said, go for it. And then it just like worked for like an hour, was spinning for like 30 minutes, an hour. And there's just like, dude, I can't do it. And I was like, what? Like, you just gave up? And it did. And so then, I had a decent plan, and like listed posts and like listed tags like for it. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. At least I can start here, like,
okay. Yeah.
So I took that artifact and I just did it. Like, I just went through and tagged things, which is not how I wanted to do it, but whatever. Yeah. I did.
It's a little bit of an editorial task that I don't.
Well, yeah, I don't care. Like, I think like if it's untagged versus tagged wrong is better for me, like, does that make sense? Like,
sure. Yeah. But because it's not even public facing, right? It's just
internal. It's only in my like Obsidian,
Yeah.
And I may put them on my actual blog, but it's like, at that point I probably would like consider it a bit more, but, yeah, so it was good. And then until it wasn't, that was sort of the tension I was dealing with, in that moment. So, I do wonder, does this get better? I think the optimist is like, yeah, it gets better, and the pessimist is like, nope. So I don't know where I'm at, kind of just in this, like, my experience has not aligned with the optimist experience exactly. So I'm really trying to figure out why that is, or about me, but then also, again, the 20%, the $200 Yamaha, is there something I can do to like just augment my speech or my prompt or something to make it work
better
as intended? Yeah, I don't know. Is there? But then
it probably depends on the type of tasks that you have on your plate, and they're not particularly aligned right now. I mean, if you were, I know you like prototyping. Yeah, if you're rocking prototype CRUD
Nuxt
apps
and Tailwind, I'd be shitty with apps, dude. I'd have apps in my neck, dude. Gold ching.
That is surprising to me how many people are in that world. Like, how many apps are you making? I don't.
I thought about that this week. It was like, yeah, dude, I like smashing out apps. I'm like, how many do you want to maintain that many? Like, is this a common task for you? Like, usually not, right? I'm saving like 20 minutes spinning up an app. And I'm like, did you like? How many apps are you writing? That Nuxt install was super difficult or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you use MCPs? That's where I wanted to go with
I don't even know. I barely even get it. I know that it's an API, and I know that it's like a structure of an API that provides, I don't know, it's like a agreed upon way of asking an AI for stuff. But I think in the end, doesn't it have like a URL like most APIs do, and then that URL like is helpful in that it already knows a bunch about the particular job that it has. Like, that seems kind of neat, but I'm always freaks me out when there's like a new word used, like it's a totally new piece of technology, and it's like, it's a API though, right? Like, why does it need a whole new word? I don't.
Good question. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's model context protocol, which allows any AI to basically, if it encounters you register it, right? You say like, use this, or you can even invoke it. You can be like, go to Figma MCP and get this file or code this file or something like that. And so it's an API that AI understands, and it has like 2 levels, or 3 levels. I think it has like tools and actions. So it can be like, tools would be like classic REST API sort of things like get, whatever, get posts or, get components or get file, and then actions would be kind of more like, checkout at whatever, target.com or something. I don't know. Just some sort of like buy this on Amazon or just some sort of more complicated action that the AI then has access to. And then they do that kind of flow where they like, hey, I'm going to run this. Is that okay? Or go query this. And you have to say yes, yes, yes. So anyway, I think like, I do have that question, like, why isn't it just an API? Because like API surface area is really ununiform or really sort of like either undocumented or private, locked down behind some key or, not uniform. So I think there is sort of like this smooths that out a little bit or tries to, that surface area. But I think it's also like, I don't care specifically. I just care like, and it can run in a Docker or a Node server. I think that's another part of the API. Like you run this API locally kind of, and then it hits an API on the big server. So that's cool. The piece I'm kind of struggling with is I see a lot of demos like, hey, I coded a website using Figma MCP, or hey, I, did this with Playwright, or hey, I did this with, I don't know, like I made an MCP for something. And
yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Like, I've seen enough demos though. I don't care. I've seen enough demos where it's like, cool, that happened, but like, what is happening next? Like, how is it improving your workflow, or are you shipping things with this, or how does it impact your life on a daily basis? That's the piece I'm not hearing, and which makes me think it's not happening. Just like posts about like, oh man, I'm using MCPs every day to like, hit this specific, I don't know, code docs system so that I get better docs in my code, or auto docking something. I don't know. Like, I wish I had like a,
Yeah, maybe we're just behind the thing. I know Figma is like the classic one that gets point to, at least at the moment, but I straight up, it's just ignorance. I don't understand what it does really. I mean, your explanation was helpful and getting me there a little bit closer, but I guess, and this is classic for throughout my career, is like doing it the deep nerd way is less interesting to me than like what just happens in the consumer product, and I guess that's what attracts me to Cursor a little bit, is like I never watched a Cursor tutorial in my life. You open it, there's a sidebar, you type some crap into it, and you hit the return key. I didn't have to like put the URL into a specific MCP thing that I have, or like there's like almost nothing to learn.
That's funny because
do some stuff.
I'm pretty sure like Cursor kind of standardized the MCP, but yeah,
if that's what's happening
like,
under the hood, cool.
I guess, yeah. Was it Cursor? I know Perplexity.
But this is just ignorance. I'm sure people are listening to this be like, "You're dumb. You're going to be an MCP land in 3 months."
Potentially,
paycheck on it.
Yeah, I mean, no, I just there's just like. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's that 20%. Like if I was doing this one thing, now I'm getting 100% value out of it. That's where I want to find those pieces, those little.
Yeah, it is surprising to me that you don't use they haven't found too much value in the like agentic style at all. And are you like intentionally avoiding it, or not really? Like you've tried with the tags. That to me is like less surprising that it didn't nail it.
Yeah.
But it's the more like, I don't know, basic, can you fix this? Like, I know how to write this code. I used an example earlier, like making a little gulp workflow to solve a little thing that I had or whatever. That's like a bunch of code and a bunch of files, and I just don't want to do it, even though I know how to do it. And it like just did fine. It did great, that kind of thing I find like, oh, you know what? That saved me half a dang day. And I still don't know how to feel about that. Like like it's worrisome a little bit. Like, are we all expected to be approximately twice as productive as we were? Because that's how tech tends to roll. It feels a little good to me. Like I feel like I'm moving faster. I'm like a little bit better than I was, but like And I work for myself, and I have this thing. I'm not like making decrees to my employees and all this stuff. Like I'm a little outside of that bubble, but I can, because I'm here and experiencing it along everybody else and seeing what big companies are saying. I'm like, I kind of nervous,
Yeah, well, there's this study out where people feel like it makes them 20% faster, but in reality, it makes them 20% slower. Isn't that it? So,
that's interesting. Like at scale, getting that information, it makes me think like, am I really that dumb? Am I actually slower? Do I have such a poor grasp on my own productivity? I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm that dumb. Like, to me, it's like I'm able to like solve some stuff that maybe I would have been too hesitant to touch before, because I'm like, oh, I feel like I could do this, but it's just going to take me all day to like really slowly dig around and figure out. I'll just be console.logging my life away for a day until I actually find it and fix it, and that the AI can just get to where, at least show me where to even start doing that. Is helpful sometimes.
Yeah, I do feel there's a element of like it gets the ball a little further down the field, and whether that's like a designer taking design and asking AI to code it, sometimes that could go bad, I guess, in theory, or just I can't use it because it's different tech stack or something unspecified, but or even me, it's just like, okay, it got me unblocked or got me like a little bit farther. Now I can work with the problem. Like now it's in my domain space, of expertise. So, I think there's something to that. I think there's another, I worry about perception sometimes, but I think there's an element to it of like saving spoons, like the emotional spoons, like, like, hey, you have to like write a summary for the newsletter or something. It's like, dude, I've done a lot this week. So what? Like I can get you bullet points and then you can make it kind of a newslettery, like, and that's like good. Yeah. Or that, that feels good. It feels like, okay, yeah, I put the appropriate amount of spoons, or I ran out of spoons. So now I'm like, these are extra spoons I can use, but
I bet there's a lot to that. I think that's an astute analysis, right? That when you're feeling depleted, the prospect of a robot doing the job instead of you, even if you wouldn't normally be comfortable with that, you're like, bro, my boss is asking and I'm out of spoons, so the robot's doing it. God damn it. That prospect is very high. And then you did do it, so you're expected to do it again next week or next month. And so you did a perfectly acceptable job at it. So they ask you to do the newsletter for the other, the summary for 3 other newsletters too. And all of a sudden that's the worry. I mean, that's
classic. It makes you appear more competent than you are.
Yeah.
That's the problem with AI. It makes you appear more competent than you really are.
Perhaps, it's lowering. It's like raising the lowest bar, not raising the highest bar, or something.
Yeah.
Like there's some of that, because what I could see sooner than later. I'm sure it's already started to happen. Is like, developers being expected to know a little bit more than they do off the bat. As if somebody's like, oh, I don't know how to center this div, or I don't know how to get the query string successfully and safely off of a URL. You just can never say that. There's no world in which you can't get the query string off of a URL. Because if you don't know, you just ask and it puts the code in for you how to do it. So never again will it be acceptable to say, hey boss, that I don't know how to do that. Do you have a moment to teach me how to do that? Nope.
Yeah, do we lose something there too? Like, like you lost the human point of apprenticeship or education or something.
Sure, but like, and then it makes you think, widen your view a little bit. Like, did people say that about encyclopedias? Did people say it about the internet? Yeah, they did.
Yeah. No, and yeah, definitely.
World just changes sometimes.
Well, yeah. Well,
anyway,
that bombshell, yeah. So, yeah, I think, yeah, it's anyway. It's interesting. If somebody has a story, like a listener has a story about like they're using MCPs on the daily and they're getting a tactical, like real benefit, I would love to know. Like, because again, like I don't think we're all just like slurping down Figmas and coding them every day, you know. I think there's other stuff going on, you know. I'd love to know what they are, like what are people doing, and or if you slurp down Figmas every day, like what's the cost? Tell me about the cost to clean it up. I want the real story. I don't want the like 5-minute demo. Does that mean that, you know, I'm tired of 5-minute demos, Chris. I want a whole conference. Maybe this is Shop Talk Conf. Coming in 2020, where like it's only like I've been using this for 3 months or more. Like only talks that do this thing I've been using for 3 months or more has improved my life. You know?
Yeah.
Like
maybe that's what's so attractive about those, like, you know, those like developers who've been developing or were at a job for 10 years and then put the like this is what I learned thing. Those are so attractive because you're like, oh wow, look at you, you know. That's actual like long-term reflection of that.
Like I think it would be like, you know, I'm having success with underscore, and you fill in that blank, and that's your first slide or something.
The problem,
you know?
is they all tend to be the same. They all tend to be like, go slower, take care of the people you work with.
Yoga.
Choose boring technology. You know, they end up being all the same. You know,
if that's what works, let's talk about it. You know, like let's not just talk about the hot new tech. Like let's talk about what works. Like what's been working. You know, so that's why.
The problem is some of that stuff changes. They're like, I mean, what kind of working? Technologically working, or what got you a VC check? Those are at odds sometimes. Yeah.
Let's define that.
Yeah, if you go to a VC meeting and you'll be like, I think I'm going to make a PHP-based CMS, they're going to be like, ha, 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 ha. If you're like, I'm going to make a Rust-based AI CMS, they're going to be like, here's some money, baby.
We need a money animation, Chris. And can we get on that? Just a like rain money. Yeah, every time we come up with a good idea, it rains money. No, that I think you're exactly. There's like other dynamics, right? The other concerns and considerations on like how does it come together. So,
yeah. Okay, another topic. Cha-ching. Here's one you're guaranteed to not make any money on, which is RSS. It's come up a little bit. I heard a syntax show on it, and then Molly White dropped an article about, you know, create your own newspaper kind of thing. And Molly's the perfect person to write it because she has quite a diverse audience lately. Wasn't she? She first started like dunking on crypto crap, and now is kind of watching AI, and has kind of just become a generally respected tech journalist who like knows what they're talking about kind of thing. And sounds like she happens to like RSS and readers, and wrote kind of quite a long article saying like, look at how cool is this, you know, you can get your own newspaper essentially. So that's a nice framing of having an RSS reader, and talked quite a lot about it. And one of the ways you can frame it is like, it's like a personalized news source with no tracking and utilizing open technologies and all this stuff that, you know, nerds like. There's plenty of people that are already convinced like you and I, and that's fine. So, but it, you know, it's just renewed a little conversation around it. So I thought it was worth calling out. And what I thought of is like, okay, is Molly White going to convince anybody?
Okay.
Getting it? Yeah. Is that going to work? Because there's like some nerds are already convinced, and but there's plenty, because it's, to me, it's like a niche within a niche. Like I don't know what circles of people use RSS that aren't computer nerds. None, maybe. So it's already a nerd thing. And then it's like there's only a certain percentage of nerds that it is attracted to anyway. And like, what are those nerds? And to me, they're just, I don't know, they're people that like, they bask in this stuff. Like they listen to podcasts about tech and stuff. They're not in tech just because that's their paycheck and stuff. They like enjoy it, like it's they read it like the morning newspaper, like Molly put it.
Enthusiasts.
There you go. And so like what are these so we're a niche within a niche already. On that second level, like you already are a computer nerd, but you don't like RSS, or you're just not convinced to have a reader. Why is that? And it could be because you're just, whatever. You're more of a 9 to 5er in the tech word. But even if you are an enthusiast, I think it doesn't catch people for some reason. And I do think it's just interesting. I don't think it's a problem to be solved. I just think it's interesting to think about. Like, what is it? I've heard from people that like, they signed up for an RSS reader and then they put in The Verge because The Verge is great. And then they come back to their RSS reader and it's just freaking loaded.
6,000. Yeah, we have somebody in the Discord with 6K unread. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't care that much. And now it's overwhelmed with Verge. And so if I put in Verge and Molly White publishes once a week or whatever it is. She's like drowned out by other stuff. So to me, it's like this curation problem too, is that getting that newspaper to be actually like a newspaper and actually look like an interesting selection of stuff to read when you want to read it requires probably a lot more manual curation over time work than people are ready for. So to hear me just be like, RSS, you're going to love it, is underselling the amount of work it takes to dial in the RSS stuff just how you like it. And how you like it and how I like it are probably different. I can't subscribe to The Verge. It's too much for me. But I subscribe to, 1,000 other things that are lower volume, and thus what I read is like a little bit more, it's more of a spattering of different things, and it ends up working out nicely for me. So I just put that in there, and I do wonder if rather than just saying get an RSS reader, or like I've done in the past, here's my OPML file, which is 1,000 blog posts, which is already curated to my taste, not yours. Could we give them like the 20 feed starter pack? That's not The Verge. It's more relaxed. And I was like, maybe we could spitball a few now, but maybe later make that
we'll
up.
Put a counter on the screen. Counter on the screen here. Yeah. Go for it.
DaveRupert.com.
Ka-ching! ChrisCoyer.net. Chris-Coyer.
We'll put Molly White on there.
No hyphen in your domain.
No. Not on my personal domain. No.
Okay, yeah.
You can also go to Coyer.com. Get you there. Did you see that?
Whoa.
You know where that website is hosted? You'll never guess in a million years.
Like Azerbaijan or something?
It's hosted on Fastmail.
Oh, danger. Wow.
Fastmail does my email now, or it has one. So if you email Chris@Coyer.com, it comes to me. And in order to do that, I just pointed my name servers at Fastmail.
Yeah, to like.
And because they have my name servers for the web too, then they have a little like side feature where you can upload some static files, and they'll host a little static website for you. Isn't that weird? It is the most bare bones feature I've ever seen in my life. But
love it. Hey.
Anyway, so we'll put Molly on there. Mm-hmm. Oh, Shop Talk. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can do Shop Talk or your podcatcher's choice. Most feed readers will do like podcasts. Like they'll do a little audio doodad, so you can just kind of log in and don't even have to have a podcatcher, Chris. You can just have a feed reader of choice. So your feed reader can be a podcatcher. So
it can. I haven't gone there, but I've seen people that like that. Yeah.
I think like I kind of have some thoughts here. Like I think, The Verge is probably a no because the volume is so much. But if you're into tech news, do it. Like just headlining, boom, 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 boom. Fastest way to get the headlines. Like you'd never had to log into Twitter. It's great. So like from it, like you're optimizing it perspective, like do that.
So we got Dave, we got me, we got Molly White. Not exactly. We're not. She's a little above our.
I'm gonna give
quality
you
level. But
2. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. I think Jeremy Keith, Adactio.com, and then also Adactio Links, which is his like a sub RSS feed, different than the article feed.
Totally. Yeah. Is there a combo? Oh, there is a combo.
There's
one,
a combo.
I think Notes is like Jeremy, his travel stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I like Jeremy, but he leaves the house a lot. So that's his number one problem is he like goes places and he talks about it. So like,
Links is the good one.
Yeah, a lot of his posts in the travel or whatever are like, I'm going to whatever, Netherlands, I'm going to Prague, I'm going to, so I love it. But, but I think like his links one is really, he kind of gives a little high level thought of what he thought about an article, and usually it fits into his values and worldview, or it's anti, and so he's making fun of it in a British way. So I recommend it. So
sure, I mean, you're obviously going to get agreement out of me. He's like the blogging goat, and if you ask me,
right. Well, I mean, there are goats, but you get too many goats, you're gonna get a lot of posts. Jim Nielsen must
gotta
have.
do Jim. He's a real thinker, especially in the last couple of years. I'm sure he's got a long time thing, but he's really taken to blogging nicely. Jim rules.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that kind of like he mostly links to other stuff, but his thoughts on those other things are golden, or what he's clipped out really gets to the core of what he's linking to, and I think he's very good at it.
He's often like referencing something else. It's not just like personal like mine. This is more reacting to other people. I'm gonna pull your coworker out of the hat, Rach Smith.
Oh, great one.
I like how real Rachel is, and
a styled RSS feed. Way to go, Rach.
Way to go. I like how she has a mix of life, what she's attempting to do, and then kind of big thoughts, and even kind of little, like little thought blasters. I think she's doing a really good job. So
Yep. You gotta go Maggie Appleton. She's been crushing it lately too. Her blog posts tend to be really small thoughts or like big art directed beautiful pieces
on
too.
AI chatbots undermining the Enlightenment.
I know. I started reading it. It's like I need to brew a cup of coffee for that one.
That's like perma open tab. So I would be careful there.
Incredible. Okay, what do you got?
I got a lot, but we're
trying to keep it to like, if you subscribe to these like 15 or 20, your RSS feeder is going to be nice. Yeah, and it won't be overwhelming probably.
Okay. I'm going to give you, I'm going to, Naz Hamid, NAZHIMID.com. Naz is a good thinker, great designer, travels a lot, so you get this like kind of like, he has the best work-life balance. He's just like, I worked for like 4 months and then I went to Malaysia for 2, and I'm like, I want that life. Like, how do I like, I just, and him and his wife go like, what is it where you overland, so they overland a lot, so you get a lot of that sort of like slow life vibes, so that can be important in the world. So
I would say I can give you 2 as well, just to keep it going. You got to do kotkey.org. He's another just OG, and it has only rarely does it dip into web stuff, but it's like, what are humans doing that's cool lately? I mean, it's the chances of you not knowing Jason Kottke is low because he's been around forever, but he's not, like his website is updated and he thinks about it and adds features and stuff. All these zillions of years later, I just couldn't respect it more. And his level of like taste on interesting things is like unparalleled to me. So that's amazing. And then you got to do Jen Schiffer because she's freaking hilarious and has this kind of like, I don't know, she reminds you that the web should be weird and to take some things seriously and other things not seriously, and that you have a life and you can do tech and you should care about art and you should think about your career and all this stuff.
Candles, anything,
Yeah.
She's doing it. So, I'll
and
throw
blogs and has a newsletter so you can subscribe to this stuff,
Yep, Live Laugh blog. I'll give, let me throw, there's so many people here in my list. I'm going to throw in, I'm going to do a company. Whoa, going corporate. Cloud4, the Cloud4 blog is really good. Tyler Sticka, Jason Grigsby,
all of them.
they are, and a bunch more. It's web tech, but it's like how you can use web tech to build cool things, and then they do this like I am having success with. You know, they fit that formula very well, and I like that. And so, anyway, it's a good blog. Like, company blogs ride this line of like, we're just promoting ourselves, you know, and they do a little bit of that because they have to. But like, but like, I feel they write out of interest first, and then they kind of tag on the like, by the way, we sell websites, you know, so.
It's just how they're not like the biggest agency in the world blows me. They're like the most thoughtful agency I've ever run across. You know, like they're deep thinkers in that way. Well, in that vein, you might as well subscribe to like web.dev because it's not overwhelming, really. The web.dev blog, anyway, they just do a good job. And you know, I did, you know, because Rachel Andrews is kind of the boss of content at Google Enterprises, and I was like, why is there a web.dev and there's like the Chrome developer blog, you know? So you have these two, you know, but there's a very clear answer to that, and it was just my own dumminess not understanding it. But web.dev is like for all the browsers. Web.dev is not the Google blog, even though they run it. It's much more interested in baseline and what all web browsers support. And the Chrome developers blog is like, if they're working on something that's particularly Chromey at the moment, they'll blog it there. But that's probably a decent subscribe to, in the same way that like the WebKit blog is.
Yeah, I was going to throw, if you're doing web stuff, subscribe to the browsers blogs.
Yeah.
So, like the WebKit blog tells you what Safari's working on. Super useful because I find like Safari TP is a really good dev target. Like if you're building something today and all that stuff works in Safari TP, awesome. You're like set up for success, you know, like when it finally releases in 3 months and then that's in main Safari, that's like a good, so like knowing what's in there is super useful. So yeah,
browsers, good stuff.
Yeah, the WebKit blog. Edge has a blog too. I'd be remiss not to mention that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I'd say like Rapid Fire, Leah Veru is an excellent blogger, of course. Get her in there.
Friend and Masters Boost, baby.
Oh, yeah. It's just not called Boost anymore.
Oh, just the Friend and Masters blog.
Yeah, which I think is fine. I was just trying to make the Boost thing happen for a minute. It was kind of a cool idea, but I think their style is much more like blog, you know?
Yeah.
Not boring, but just specific and stuff.
Yeah.
I wrote one today on there about the custom highlight API that I just got a chance to play with because I've been streaming, you know? So and sometimes a stream, if it's interesting, will turn into a blog post. You know, it's just kind of my goal of the thing. I like the UI.dev newsletter, which comes in email, but if you use a news reader like Feedbin, emails can, you know, you can get an email address for it and it comes right into your feed instead, which is how I prefer it. I get no newsletters to my email address anymore. They only come to RSS, you know, which was helpful to have like that address like as like almost like a key command. So if you're at the newsletter for somewhere, you're not tempted to type your own email address in there.
You type fake email tab and it auto expands. Newsletter.
And then
email.
I put like a plus at the end of it because it's a Gmail address, and I type the name of the newsletter so that it.
You know if you got scammed.
Exactly, which I never have. So good job, web tech people. So anyway, that's a pretty good list, I guess.
That's a pretty good starter pack. You know, I'd
maybe
be curious
Ethan.
who's on. Oh, Ethan's good. I find if you want like dollar per, you know, subscription, you know, Josh Collinsworth. I think you were doing Amanda Brown, a working library. She has another blog too. It is called, I'm going to get you this URL, everythingchanges.us. That's her. That's
really?
Her, yeah. Everything changes. So this is kind of a coaching arm, and she has kind of a lot of posts on here with kind of some big industry things. So, care warning: when you read Mandy Brown, you're gonna have to change your life after you read a post. Okay, like it's you have to make some life adjustments after you go through it.
It's also brew a cup of coffee type of writing to me, where you don't. Yeah. It's not particularly skimmable.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw Josh Collinsworth. Did I already say Josh? You gotta do triple threat in there. Yeah, Eric Bailey. Oh my God, keep going. I gotta stop. I'm going over my limit, but I also like this idea of like you do one industry or like one like area of interest, like tech or sports or something. You know, that's like high volume, and then you do one, or you do like 5 sort of like I need to know these for my job. You know, like, and then you do like 30 people you like. Does that, you know, it's like this 5 or whatever, like 1, 5, 10, 30 or something like that. Or maybe it's 30 people you don't like.
People you like is great too. Like, and, you know, I got, you know, like photography stuff in there that I'm not even a photographer, but I like it. And art stuff and poetry stuff and jokes and stuff. You know, I think Molly was like, it could be a Reddit thing or it could be a YouTube channel. I don't do any of that, but you can.
You can, yeah.
So
I do. I wonder if I should pull some YouTube subs out into RSS just for me, like so to slow it down, like one at a time.
And then unsub.
I don't need to care about everything, dude. Don't need to get locked into a short.
Sometimes I like it, you know. Like I like Dr. Spectred on YouTube. He's like the Balatro goat, but he does like one a day or not even. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I want to see what it is, because the algorithm shows me like a spattering and just sprinkles them in, and sometimes they're like 8 months old. You're like, I don't care that much. I actually want the chronological of what he's been doing. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well. Oh man, now I'm on.
We got a lot. That's a
University.
Good pack. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't need
cool
more
dude.
Balatro in my life. I need less.
No, the fact that I did this dumb move where I opened up Balatro on my desktop and it like was confused about Game Center and then like locked up, and I started it again and it wiped my profile. I was so close, dude. I had like 1 or 2 decks to get gold stake on, and then I was just completionist, not plus or
not
plus
100%.
Did Josh do plus?
I think
plus
he
is
did.
Ridiculous, dude. You have to get every Joker on gold stake. That's unbelievable. There's some bad of Jokers. You know? Yeah.
I can't get 1 gold stake. I'm stuck, dude. Perma stuck, hard stuck. Hard stuck in green
just
steak.
You don't.
It's
the problem is you don't watch enough Balatro University.
I probably don't. So, all right. Well,
okay,
we'll wrap it up. Thank you, dear listener, for downloading this in your podcatcher choice or joining us on the YouTube. We really appreciate that. And then be sure to share it up. That's how people find out about the show. Click the like button, ring the bell. That's good for algorithms on the YouTube, but it does nothing in RSS. Then, also join us in the Discord. That's where we'd really like to see you. Patreon.com/ShopTalkShow. And Chris, you got anything else you'd like to say?
ShopTalkShow.com/feed.